Hi and welcome to this Tutor 2 BTEC National Health and Social Care Revision live stream. It's Wednesday at 6 p.m, so that generally means Unit 3 Anatomy and Physiology. And today we're going to do homeostasis and genetics, so we've got absolutely loads to get through, so I'm not going to waste any time today. So let's get onto it. Okay. So we're going to start off with some multiple choice questions. If you know the answer, type A, B, C or D into the chat, please. So the first question, which of the following is the best definition of homeostasis? A, the intake of oxygen and the release of carbon dioxide from the oxidation of complex organic substances. B, physiological processes and feedback mechanisms that work to keep the body's internal environment within a narrow range. C, a measure of the force that your heart uses to pump blood around your body. Or D, the delivery of oxygen from the lungs to the bloodstream and the elimination of carbon dioxide from the bloodstream. So I'll just give you a moment to consider that. I'm looking for A, B, C or D. Okay, Kamaljeet says B. I think you are correct. Let's have a look. Yep, excellent. Well done. You were really quick off the mark. Yep, well done Ikra, well done Chisholm, yep, absolutely B. Well done. Moving swiftly on so we can get through everything. Number two, which of the following is the key term used to describe the homeostatic mechanism for temperature control? A, osmoregulation, B, thermoregulation, C, chemical regulation, or D, erythropoiesis? A, B, C or D, guys? Okay, the answers are starting to come through. Try and see who's first. Just give everyone a moment. Okay, Sophie was straight in with B. I can see the others on my other screen. Out of the corner of my eye popping up. Yep, you are correct, Sophie. Well done, Kamaljeet. Yep, B, thermoregulation. Fabulous. Okay, we'll just keep moving on really punchy tonight. So which structure in the brain controls temperature regulation? A, hippocampus, B, hypothalamus, C, cerebellum, or D, olfactory bulb? Ikra was really quick then with B. Any other takers? Yep, well done everyone. Correct. Hypothalamus. Those other things are structures within the brain, but they do not control temperature. Okay, number four, which organs are involved in blood glucose regulation? A, lungs, liver and brain, B, liver, stomach and brain, C, pancreas, stomach and lungs, or D, liver, pancreas and brain. So just take a moment to think about what happens during blood glucose regulation and which three organs are involved in that. A, B, C or D. So think about where the signal comes from, what it signals and what acts. Yep, brilliant guys, well done. Sophie, Kamaljeet, Chisholm, all saying D. Yep, absolutely correct. Okay, so thinking about homeostasis still, can you tell me three things that are required as part of a negative feedback system? I'm going to give you 30 seconds. So think about negative feedback systems, what are required for those to work. So just generally, what are required? 30 seconds goes really quickly. That's your first 10 seconds gone. I'm sure you're all frantically typing at home. 15 seconds left. 20 seconds left. Okay, we're on our last 3 seconds now, guys. Okay, so what do we think? What do we require for a negative feedback system? Okay, Kamaljeet says hormones. That's a really good answer. It's not actually on my list of 3 things, but I do agree you need hormones and glands to secrete those hormones. You're not wrong, Kamaljeet, at all. Just not exactly what I have on my screen. Okay, Chisholm says receptor, yeah. So Chisholm, that's more like what I'm after. So you definitely need receptors. Everyone else, think about receptors. What else do you need to go with receptors? Payal saying hormones. Yep, you're not wrong. Just give you a bit of a chance to think. What else do you need that goes along with receptors? Very similar keywords. Chisholm says an effector. Yep. Definitely. So receptors, effectors, and then what do you need to kind of mediate between those things? So if you're saying stimulus, yeah, you need stimulus in a feedback system for sure. Just wait. Okay. Oh, there's an echo when I speak, is there? Okay, hang on, let me have a look. See if I can clear that up for you guys. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's have a look at my screen. Sorry if I still have the echo, Arshan. I'm not sure what's happening with that. Okay, so the three requirements. Sensors or receptors to detect the changes, then the control centre to receive information, that's generally your brain, and then effectors, which can bring the body back into its original condition. Well done. Arshan, am I still echoing? Just let me know and I'll see what else I can do. Okay, so the next activity, stepping stones. I want you to think about a process that I'm going to put on the screen. I'm going to give you the start, okay, Arshan. I'm going to give you the start and the finish of the stepping stones, and I want you to work out what goes in between. I will put that on the screen and just have a go at sorting out why I have an echo. So you guys, while I'm sorting out the echo, see if you can work out what is behind those two question marks for steps 2 and 3. Okay, Arshan, let me know if I have solved my echo. So step 1, high blood glucose is detected, and then we want to know what are steps 2 and 3 to get blood glucose back to normal. Brilliant. Thank you, Arshan, for letting me know. Glad I've sorted it out. So would anyone like to have a go at this? What could be behind 2 and 3? Just hit me with all your ideas. So we've detected a change, so high blood glucose. It's moved away from the normal. It's not normal blood glucose anymore, it's too high. So what thing's going to happen to get that to return back to normal? Shall I help you guys out? So the second thing would be the hypothalamus, so that structure in your brain signals to your pancreas to release insulin. So we've got high blood glucose detected, and then the hypothalamus signals the pancreas to release insulin. What's going to happen next? Chisholm, you're talking about vasodilation. That's to do with temperature regulation. We're looking at blood glucose regulation. So we've got high blood glucose detected. The hypothalamus in the brain is signalling to our pancreas to release insulin. Does anyone know what the insulin does? Anyone? Okay, I will help you out. So what insulin does is it's kind of like it opens the cells up. If you think about cells being locked, insulin is like a key that opens up the cell so the cells can take in glucose. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the insulin, so Chisholm said insulin reduces blood glucose levels. Yeah, it does. So it opens up the cells so that they can take glucose in. And in particular, muscle, fat and liver cells take in that glucose. Then they either use it or it can be stored as glycogen, okay, to use again in the future. So run through it from the top. If your body has high blood glucose, the hypothalamus in the brain tells the pancreas to release insulin, and then the insulin opens the cells so that they can take in the glucose, and then they either use it for energy or they store it as glycogen, and then the blood glucose levels return to normal. So our next one is going to be kind of like the opposite, okay? So think about this one then. If we have low blood glucose detected, two things happen to get us back to our normal blood glucose levels again. So we've moved away from the set point and our blood glucose has become low. Do we know what happens in between to get that back to normal? I'll just give you a moment to think about it. These are the really difficult concepts, aren't they? Can be quite confusing. So maybe if you just tell me, you don't have to tell me exactly a full sentence, like do you know any of the hormones or the glands or the organs that might be involved? Okay, so Chisholm says glycogen releases blood glucose. Anyone else want to say anything? Okay, let me talk you through it then. So again, your hypothalamus in your brain signals to the pancreas to release glucagon. So that's another, like a chemical that it releases called glucagon. This is the tricky thing, all these different terms. And then the glucagon, yes, perfect, Cameljit, well done. So the glucagon is used to convert the glycogen stores in the liver into glucose, and that then returns your blood glucose levels to normal levels, okay? So I suggest, for those of you that are finding this a little bit tricky, maybe at the end of tonight, give me about 20 minutes to upload the PowerPoint and then download it from the website, from the Tutor2U website, and you can have a look through this in your own time, like you can pace yourself and work it out, okay? Let's have a see what our next activity is. Okay. So we've done blood glucose regulation, which is a type of chemical regulation. Now we're going to do thermoregulation. So I want you to tell me, first of all, 3 ways that the body has to cool itself down. So thermoregulation, temperature regulation, 3 ways that the body can cool itself. So I'm looking for like 3 actions of effectors, essentially. So I'll give you 30 seconds. Get typing, guys. Well done, Chisholm. There's our first one there. Brilliant. Okay, Cameljit, we're doing cooling ourselves first. I think you're talking about warming ourselves up. Payal, yeah, you're talking about warming us. So I want to know how the body is going to cool itself down. So Chisholm said sweating. Yep, how does sweating then help our body to cool down? What do you know about sweating? What happens? And do we know any other ways that we cool ourselves down? Maybe something to do with capillaries, that term vaso. Someone mentioned it earlier on. Okay, let me talk you through it. Okay, so 3 ways that the body will cool itself down. So vasodilation. So anything with vaso refers to vascular, which means blood vessels, okay? So vasodilation means the dilation, the opening, so dilation is opening of the blood vessels just under the skin. So when you get hot and you look flushed and red, that's part of the reason is because the blood vessels under your skin are getting wider. The reason they do that is so that they can lose heat into the environment. So your blood is keeps your body warm, keeps your core temperature stable. So when your blood vessels are close to the surface and get wider, they can release some of that heat into the environment. Then you've got sweating. So when you sweat, you get cool, fluid on your skin, which then evaporates. That's another way that you lose heat. And then your body hair actually lies flat. So it's no longer trapping air between your skin and the hairs, which is an insulator. So it lies flat so that you're cooler. Okay. So the next one then, give me 3 ways, and you've already said one, Kamaljit and Payal, 3 ways that your body can increase its temperature. Okay, so I'll give you 30 seconds again to think about this one. Well done, Chisholm, yep. Okay, we've got some good answers. So we've got vasoconstriction, goosebumps, body hair stands up. Yep, so let me show you on the screen and then I'll talk you through it. Okay, so vasoconstriction, remember vaso means vascular, means blood vessels. Constriction means get tighter, smaller, narrower. So vasoconstriction means the blood vessels under the surface of your skin get narrower, so they're not losing as much heat to the environment. You also have increased metabolism, because when you're breaking down your food to release energy, that generates heat as a side effect. And then body hair is raised, so yeah, that's your goosebumps, your hair stands on end, and then that traps a layer of air against your skin, which insulates you from the cold. Well done, guys. Okay, so we're still on homeostasis. Some true or false questions. Okay, so the first statement, dehydration stimulates the release of antidiuretic hormone, which is known as ADH, leading to increased water reabsorption by the kidneys. Is this true or is this false? So dehydration, that's when you don't have enough water. Does that stimulate ADH, and does that lead to your kidneys causing more water to be reabsorbed into your body? True or false? What do you think? Just give you a moment to read through. Chisholm says true. Yep, I think you are correct. I can see a few more coming through now. Yep, so that one is true. Let's have a look at our next one. When an individual is adequately hydrated or overhydrated, the release of antidiuretic hormone, ADH, tends to decrease. Is this one true or false? So if you have enough water or you've got too much water, ADH decreases. Is that true or false? This is essentially the opposite of what the previous slide was talking about. So does that mean it's true or false? I can see some coming through. Yep, true from Chisholm, and not sure, NVNDY. Yep, true. Okay, our third statement then. When the body is dehydrated, so that's when you don't have enough water, urine production is plentiful, which means there's lots of it. Urine colour is very pale, and urine has little or no odour. Do you think that's true, or do you think that is false? Just give a moment to think. Okay, Chisholm's saying false. Anyone else? Yeah, I can see Kamaljit saying false as well. Yeah, exactly. So if you are well hydrated, your urine is pale and has little colour and no odour. When you are dehydrated, your urine tends to be a stronger, darker colour and has a stronger smell. Okay, so now we are on to a bubble quiz. I will show you the question on the screen, and then there are 4 answer options. In this case, in a bubble quiz, none of the answers may be correct, or all of them might be correct, or a combination. So you just type into the chat A, B, C, D, or none, okay? So the first question, we're on to genetics now. So which of the following statements can be made about autosomal dominant inheritance patterns? A, carriers have a 50% chance of passing on a normal gene. B, carriers have a 50% chance of passing on the abnormal gene. C, you need only 1 copy of the abnormal gene to inherit this type of disorder. D, Huntington's disease is an example. So you definitely need to know exactly what autosomal dominant inheritance means to be able to answer this question, and I'm hoping that you guys do. So identify which are the correct answers. A, B, C, D, a combination of those. What do we think, guys? These genetics questions are also a little bit tricky, aren't they? Remember, in your paper, you will have to calculate the probability of someone having a genetic disorder based on some information you're given about their parents' genotype and about what disorder it is and what inheritance pattern it has. Okay, Payal's saying B. Anyone else want to have a go? I think everyone's a bit like, not quite sure. Again, definitely download this PowerPoint after I've put it up, guys, and run through it. Okay, I shall reveal the answers. So it's actually all of them. So Huntington's disease is an autosomal dominant inherited disease. That means that if a parent is a carrier, then they have a 50% chance of passing on a normal gene and a 50% chance of passing on an abnormal gene. And you only need 1 copy of this abnormal gene to inherit this type of disorder. So you only need 1 parent to be a carrier for there to be a chance of passing on the disorder. Okay, so the next question then is about autosomal recessive inheritance patterns. So I want to know which are the correct answers. A, you need 2 copies of the abnormal gene to inherit this type of disorder. B, to inherit this disorder, both parents must be carriers of the disorder. C, a carrier is an unaffected individual who has 1 copy of the abnormal gene and the other copy is normal. D, Down syndrome is an example. I'm going to make this one a little bit easier for you and say there is 3 correct answers and 1 very much incorrect answer. So if you'd like to tell me maybe which is the incorrect answer, then obviously the other 3 are the correct. So let me know what you think. I'm hoping that someone's going to know this one. Okay, Binti, hello Binti, is saying A, B and C are correct. Anyone else want to have a go? Kamaljit is saying C. Okay. So, Binti, you are correct. A, B and C are statements that are true about autosomal recessive inheritance patterns. So you need 2 copies of the abnormal gene to inherit this. That means both your parents must be carriers of the disorder. A carrier is an unaffected individual who has 1 copy of an abnormal gene and 1 copy of a normal gene. And then Down syndrome is the odd one out because Down syndrome is not an inherited condition. Down syndrome is a chromosomal condition which occurs when there's like a random duplication or triplication, I suppose is the correct term. So you have chromosomes are in pairs. Down syndrome is also called trisomy 21 because affected individuals have 3 copies of chromosome 21 and that just happens randomly at some point around conception. Okay, so it's a chromosomal disorder, not an inherited disorder. Really important that you know that. Okay, so in the lineup, I'm going to give you 4 clues and your job is to try and work out which of those disorders on the screen I am talking about. So you've got A, Huntington's disease, B, phenylketonuria, which you might know as PKU, C, cystic fibrosis, which you might know as CF, and D, sickle cell disease. So the first clue. This disorder follows an autosomal recessive inheritance pattern. So maybe you might be able to eliminate some at this point. I'm going to give you the next clue before I ask for any answers. Particularly common in people with an African or Caribbean family background. So from those two clues, would anyone like to answer? I think some of you should be able to get it at this point. I'll just give you a moment. Just aware we've still got a few to get through. We've only got 5 minutes left. Okay, no one's going for it yet. Give you clue 3. Oh, I can see actually people are saying. Okay, Binti says sickle cell, Pyle says sickle cell, and Kamaljit says sickle cell. Okay, so red blood cells are misshapen. Do you want to stick with your answer, guys, or change it? And then my final clue, causes painful episodes called crises. Yep, you are correct, sickle cell. So all those facts are about sickle cell disease. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so just be careful here, guys, because the disorders have changed places at the top. They're the same ones, but they're different. So now it's A for PKU, B for sickle cell, C for cystic fibrosis, and D for Huntington's, okay? So first clue, follows an autosomal recessive inheritance pattern. So some of you may be able to eliminate something at this point. 2, a rare but potentially serious inherited disorder. Would anyone like to have a go at answering at this point? So autosomal recessive, rare but potentially very serious inherited disorder. I'll give you the next clue. People with this disorder cannot break down the amino acid phenylalanine, which then builds up in their blood and their brain. Hopefully someone will get it from this. Okay, I'm looking on my other screen because this one's slow. So Sophie was the first person, then Kamaljit, then Pyle, then Binti, all saying A for PKU. So I think, yeah, the clue is in the name, isn't it? Phenylketonuria and phenylalanine. And then the final clue, it's routinely tested for by the newborn blood spot test. So that's a test that the midwife does approximately day 5 after birth. They take a sample of blood from the heel of the baby and it's tested for numerous disorders, including on that list sickle cell and cystic fibrosis. Okay, next one. Okay, last 2 questions now. You'll be glad to know because this one's really tested our brains tonight, hasn't it? A couple of true or falses. So I think there might be 3 actually. Amniocentesis is a genetic test that can be conducted during pregnancy by taking a sample of amniotic fluid. Is that true or is that false? What do we think, guys? True or false for amniocentesis? Genetic test in pregnancy. You take a sample of amniotic fluid. Yep, everyone is saying true. Okay, brilliant. So it's actually done with a really fine needle, and the doctor, when they do that, they use ultrasound to make sure that they are well clear of the fetus when they insert the needle and aspirate the fluid. Okay, chorionic villus sampling, CVS, is a genetic test that is conducted after birth by taking a sample from the placenta. Is this true or is this false? So CVS, is that a genetic test conducted after birth by taking a sample from the placenta? True or false? Okay, Payal is saying false. Payal, can you tell me what is wrong with that statement, please? Kamaljit, same, saying false. Why? What's wrong with it? Chisholm, same. What is incorrect on that statement? Yep, everyone's saying false. Brilliant. Tell me why, guys. Just give you a moment to type. Okay, Pyle says it's taken during the pregnancy when the baby is not born. Yeah, Kamaljit's saying done around 14 weeks of pregnancy, Chisholm, not before birth. Yeah, exactly. So it is, the chorion is one of the membranes around the baby. So yeah, chorionic villus sampling is done. It is a sample from the placenta, but it is done during the pregnancy, not after the birth. Well done, guys. You are correct with saying it is false. Okay, I was wrong. It was just the 2 questions at the end there. Okay, that's the end of today. So as I said, give me about 20 minutes to put the PowerPoint up on the Tutor2 website. Then I suggest you go and download it and go through all of these things, because there's some really quite challenging, taxing topics today. It's taxing for me as well. And then don't forget to join me next week. So next Wednesday at 6 p.m, we are going to do cardiovascular system and respiratory system. And again, it's going to be really tough to fit everything in. So that's definitely going to be one where you might want to download the PowerPoint. And I'll see you next week, guys. Have a good one. Bye.